Yo, Patriots fans, this offseason just flew completely off the rails, and not in a quiet way either. Surprised. We're talking departures that sting, rumors that split the fan base right down the middle, new weapons on offense, and one monster possibility still hanging out there like a Hail Mary floating under the lights. And let's be real for a second. When you put all of it together, this starts to look like a team trying to choose between building smart and swinging for the fences. Because the first punch came on defense, and yeah, it's a real one. K'Lavon Chaisson is gone. Jalen Hawkins is gone. Two of the biggest defensive playmakers from last season are out the door, and that changes the temperature immediately. Chaisson wasn't just another guy in the rotation. He led the team in sacks with 10.5, and finally looked like the pass rusher New England had been waiting on. Hawkins wasn't just filling space on the back end either. He led the team in interceptions and brought juice, timing, and physicality to a defense that needed playmakers in big moments. So when both of those guys leave in the same wave, that's not a footnote. That's a shift. That's the kind of thing fans feel in their gut. And that's where the debate starts heating up. Because on one side, people are saying, how do you let your top sack guy and your most productive ball hawk walk after a Super Bowl run? Fair question. Totally fair. But on the other side, the front office clearly sees this differently. They didn't just sit there and watch the room empty out. They went and got Kevin Byard, a veteran safety with elite instincts, leadership, and the kind of football IQ coaches dream about. They added more front seven depth, more versatility, more pieces they believe can function inside a bigger system. So maybe this isn't about replacing Chaisson and Hawkins one for one. Maybe this is about changing the shape of the defense. That sounds good on paper, right? But paper doesn't rush the passer on 3rd and 8. Paper doesn't flip games with a pick over the middle. That's where this gets real. If the Patriots are betting they can replace production with experience, discipline, and committee football, then Mike Vrabel better be absolutely sure this machine can still hunt. Because the AFC is loaded with quarterbacks who will carve you up the second your pressure disappears. So what's the smarter move? Pay to keep the guys who already proved it in your system, or trust the scheme and spread those resources around? That's a split-the-room question. Drop it in the comments. Would you have paid to keep them, or do you trust the reset? And just when that conversation gets loud, here comes the next curveball. The Patriots reportedly checking in on veteran tight ends like David Njoku and Jonnu Smith. Now hold on. This is where things get spicy, because this one feels simple at first, but it really isn't. On the surface, it sounds aggressive. It sounds like a team trying to flood Drake Mail with weapons. But once you look at the roster, the whole thing starts to feel a little strange. Hunter Henry just came off one of his best seasons as a pro. He was reliable, productive, and flat-out important to the offense. Then New England added Julian Hill, a younger option who gives them flexibility, size, and blocking help if they want to live in heavier sets. So the second those rumors came out, fans started asking the obvious question: why tight end and why now? That's the hidden pressure point in this whole thing. Tight end doesn't feel like the biggest fire on this roster. Wide receiver still feels more urgent. Offensive line depth still matters. There are still spots where the Patriots could get younger, faster, and more explosive. So if they're really thinking about Njoku or Jonnu, the move has to mean something bigger. Is this about building a more physical bully ball offense? Is it about protecting Drake Mail with more middle-of-the-field options? Or is this one of those moves that looks active without actually changing the ceiling? Because that's what fans are wrestling with. And let's not act like there isn't a real divide here. Some fans will say, get May every weapon you can find and figure the rest out later. That's not crazy. A young quarterback grows faster when defenses have to defend every blade of grass. When they have to worry about seams, crossers, red zone mismatches, and layered play action, life gets easier. But the other side has a point too. If you already have Henry, if you just added Hill, and the draft is sitting right there, why burn more money or assets on another veteran at that spot? Why not chase help where the offense still feels thin? That's the tension. That's the kind of roster decision that can look genius in December or totally unnecessary by Halloween. So tell me this, does that rumor fire you up or does it make you nervous? If this is making sense to you, smash that like button and subscribe, because this offseason is moving way too fast to blink. And hit the comments with it. Do you believe in this direction, or do you think they're overthinking the wrong position? Now here's where the whole thing jumps to another level. Because once Romeo Doubs came into the picture, the entire conversation around the Patriots offense changed. This isn't just depth anymore. This isn't just, hey, they added a nice piece. No, Doubs gives them a real target, a real outside presence, a guy who can help stabilize the room and actually grow with Drake Mail. That matters. Big time. He's coming off a strong season, he's still got upside, and he gives the offense a more serious look immediately. But here's the part that makes everybody lean forward. What if they're still not done? Because the A.J. Brown buzz refuses to die. And that's where this thing goes from interesting to explosive. Around the league, there are still people who believe Brown could end up in New England if the timing lines up and the asking price drops after June 1st. And once you understand the cap mechanics, that rumor stops sounding like fantasy and starts sounding like strategy. If Philadelphia waits, the financial pain of a trade becomes easier to absorb. And if that changes the market, then suddenly the cost might shift from outrageous to merely painful. And in the NFL, merely painful is sometimes all it takes for a real contender to make a move. Think about what that would mean. Romeo Doubs on one side, A.J. Brown on the other, Drake Mail in the middle of it all with a real WR1, a real physical alpha, the kind of guy who bends coverages and makes defensive coordinators lose sleep. That's not just adding talent. That's changing the personality of your offense overnight. That's going from promising to dangerous. That's the kind of move that tells the entire league the Patriots are done playing nice and done waiting their turn. But let's keep it all the way real. That move comes with heat. Big heat. Brown won't be cheap. Even if the pick package drops, it still costs you premium assets. It still puts pressure on every other roster decision. It still tells the fan base, the locker room, and the conference that this team is accelerating the timeline right now. No more soft launch. No more patient build. No more, let's see what happens. That would be an all-in type of signal, and once you send that signal, you better be ready to live with the expectations that come with it. And maybe that's the real story of everything we've seen. The defense lost important pieces and answered with experience. The offense added Doubs and started looking more functional. The tight end rumors opened up a fight over priorities. And the A.J. Brown smoke? That's the lightning in the distance. That's the one move that could make all the other stories feel like setup. Because if New England actually lands a weapon like that, this whole offseason stops being about maintenance and starts being about ambition. So here's where Patriots Nation is standing right now, at a fork in the road. Trust the measured plan or demand the blockbuster. Build smart or go hunting for the kill shot. One path protects the future. The other path tries to change the present in a heartbeat. And honestly, that decision might define the entire 2026 season before training camp even gets rolling. So now I'm throwing it to you. If you were running this team, would you go all in for a star and push every chip to the middle of the table? Or would you protect the picks, trust the growth, and build this thing one move at a time? Tell me what you think. Send this to another Pats fan, and let's see who's really reading the board the right way.